What's going on out there? What's going on out there? What's going on, everybody out there in YouTube land? Thank you for joining Brainsmasher in my tunnel of miscreant music. That was a good one. Kind of like that. This is going to be another collection update. We got a lot of stuff to cover. Probably going to have to cut this into a two-parter because we got a lot of ground to cover. But while I flap my gums, how about we listen to Verge, Sex and Violence. These guys have a new record out that I'm pretty stoked to grab a copy of. You know, I might have actually played this in one of my early videos already. Which, by the way, if you ever miss me and you get bored or something and you just need some more Brainsmasher, I've got a lot of videos that I bet a lot of you have not seen. Anyways, this came out 2010 or so, maybe 2012 or so. Finnish black metal. This stuff is fucking awesome, super underrated. It's just really mid-paced and sort of heady, mind-fucky kind of, I don't know, emotional kind of stuff or something. And it's got a priest with a boner over a cauldron kind of thing there. How cool is that? How can you go wrong with that? Anyway, great stuff. Is my disc skipping? Nah, that's alright. Anyways, okay, so I was in Chicago last weekend to see Au Noir, Merciless, Usurper, Ares Kingdom, Nefarious, and I always feel like I'm forgetting one more of the lineup. Either way, sound was kind of crappy at first, so that was the first time I'd seen Ares Kingdom. Been really wanting to see those guys, and I could see how they would put on a hell of a stellar show. I do like their records, but it seems like one of those bands that just live is the way to enjoy them. Excellent performers, but again, the sound there was just fucking just atrocious. But luckily, what was going on outside was that I got a chance to hang out with Au Noir. All three dudes. Apollyon, whose albums are, you know, all the different bands he's played in, from fucking Dodheimsgard, Au Noir, Two Trains, Lamented Souls, all over the place. I love a lot of the bands he's in. I don't know if I'd say like he was the main writing or contributing factor to a lot of those bands. You know, although he writes like half of Au Noir. But anyways, you know, a legendary Norwegian metal musician and one of my favorite musicians of all time, fucking Kalle Michael Eide, or Khazral, or Aggressor of Au Noir, a man who I wanted to write a documentary about, and kind of am. I don't know. I know you're going to ask about what went on with that, but mostly just what I am still reeling from over the weekend is that I got to sit across a table from Rune Eriksson, Kalle Michael Eide, and Apollyon, or OJ Mo as he goes by. It was such a great time. I had a friend who kind of knew them through email or something, and I was able to just kind of sit down there and pick their brains about tons of stuff. You know, we had a great conversation for a while. I didn't wind up getting a picture or anything. I don't really like bothering with, let me get a picture with you guys, or let me have you sign my nuts or shit like that. I take the time that we spent together and keep it up here and think about it and cherish it for a long time. You know, the music that Carl Michael has been a part of over the years, Bedouin's End, Virus, Au Noir, Dodheimsgard, is some of my favorite music. And so it's just such an incredible honor to even be able to meet the guy and just spend some time with him. You know, it was awesome. Anyways, also saw a lot of old friends. If you're watching, thanks for hanging out. Ran into some people that I hadn't met yet, like the guys from Finn. Also, Motley Crue Forever One. Ran into that guy. I didn't expect to see another YouTuber there or anything. Anyways, it was great. Merciless fucking slayed all. I didn't expect them to be so fucking amazing live. I don't think they're ever going to come back to the States to play live again, so that's kind of a bummer, but whatever. It was so good. It was a great time. Au Noir kind of got off to a rough start sound-wise, and I don't know. I've got mixed feelings about Au Noir's material and stuff, but whatever. They put on a great show, and it really helped me remember and realize that they do have a killer collection of songs under their belt over the years, and I need to really rethink what I think of them. I guess in brief, what it is like I love Deep Tracks of Hell and Black Thrash Attack. Those records are fucking flawless as far as I'm concerned, but everything after that I'm kind of but seeing them live and seeing those songs played alongside songs that I already love just kind of really made me rethink their discography. So I picked up a shit ton of stuff at some record stores while we were up in Chicago. We visited both locations. Well, actually, there's three locations. It's hard for me to get just 3 fingers up on this hand. I can do it here, but here, whatever. We visited 2 locations of Reckless Records. Killer record store. Went there a year ago or so. Picked up a ton of great stuff, and they fucking came through all over again in the exact same way as I wanted them to. So we got a pile of shit to talk about, so this is going to be a collection update. Some of the stuff in this pile is also stuff that I've gotten in the mail since we last spoke, what, a week ago? I'm really on a fucking CD tear lately, but it's not a problem because I'm a maniac. So let's start off here. No order whatsoever. Judas Iscariot's Thy Dying Light. When I first heard this album, I laughed at it because the drumming is horrible. But recently been listening to the cassette of what is it called? It's the tape on Sylvan Screams. The band is called Jesu Christ or something like that. It made me want to get back into the older Judas Iscariot stuff. And I have never owned a copy of it. This is a moribund reissue. It's got some live CD-ROM stuff on there. Really nothing, not that big of a deal release-wise. Anyways, next one I've got here is Ash Borer, Cold of Ages. May have listened to this once or twice on their Bandcamp when it was released on Profound Lore several years ago. I've seen these guys live a couple times, and they're fucking awesome. And their self-titled demo is amazing. Not sure how this material lives up to it. I really don't remember all that much about it when I did listen to it in the beginning. But this is the kind of stuff where, like, in Reckless Records, you can pick up for $4 or $5, and like, I'll definitely buy it on stuff like that all day long. Next is an album that I bought on eBay about a month ago or so, and the seller never sent it to me, got my money back, whatever. They had a copy of it sitting there at Reckless Records for a couple of bucks. Like I said in my last video, review-wise, this is their most well-reviewed album. But I don't know if I would say that this is better than Solinari. It's hard to compare their albums. I really think they're all 3 fucking awesome albums. Anyways, atmospheric doom death from the States. This is really one of the better bands of the genre. I guess, maybe take My Dying Bride and add a little bit more sort of gothy influence kind of stuff going on. I'm not sure. They're a wholly original band. Fucking great, underappreciated band for sure. Next, I got this in the mail. Necromancy, Divinity of Death. Norwegian modern thrash metal, quite a bit like Aura Noir, but where Aura Noir has a lot of really strange sort of experimental, sort of atonal riffing that's kind of like disguised as traditional thrash, I guess I would say. These guys are a lot more down to earth, a lot more accessible, and maybe a little bit more speed metal-ish. Anyways, given a lot of relevance to modern thrash metal out of Norway. This came out on Duplicate Records in 2010, so it's not really all that new of a release. It's just, you don't see this band mentioned very often, and I don't see copies of this floating around. So I picked this up on Discogs the other day. Looking forward to putting that on. Another album that I hated at first, Quintessence by Borknagar. Was a huge fan of these guys up through the Archaic Course, and then I got this album, and the fucking production on this by Peter Tägtgren just really, really put me off. Also, this is an album recorded post-suicide of Eric Brodskrift, who was their phenomenal drummer up until this point. And I had forgotten, actually, when I picked this up the other day, I thought Eric Brodskrift played on this album, but I was wrong. Asgeir Mikkelsen played on this. And I don't know, I'm just not really a fan of his drumming all that much, although I like it in Spiral Architect. I think, like, his style of playing is really technical, and it's got a lot of progressive finesse to it, and I think his place really is a band like Spiral Architect that's super proggy and technical and sounds maybe more like Fate's Warning than a Viking black metal band. I feel like his drumming is really out of place here. But anyways, the reason I picked it up is because it was cheap, and also because Simon Hesnay is one of my favorite singers. But another thing that originally turned me off of this album in the beginning was that his vocals, he does this thing where he pairs his clean vocals with a track of nasty vocals over them. And I don't know, there's just a lot of things that I didn't like about this album in the beginning. But I'm going to give it a second shot here, and the collector in me just kind of wants to have everything that Simon Hesnay has ever done, because I'm a huge, huge fan. Next, so I picked this up not knowing anything about it. This is Elysian Fields with Adelaine. Picked it up, and it just looked like something that would really appeal to what I've been listening to and the style of music that I've been listening to lately, like that kind of almost mediocre doom death bands. Not to say that what I have been really appreciating is all that mediocre, but I think like doom death bands that most people are praising so highly, you know, they're the My Dying Brides and shit like that. There's a lot of stuff that are kind of fall below or underneath the shadow of those bands. It's worth note. And so I think maybe I had heard of this band back in the 90s or something. I just thought, I'm going to pick it up. The weird thing about it is it was re-released by Nuclear War Now in 2015. So it's an album with a couple of demos tacked on the end of it. You know, I've been liking releases like that quite a bit lately. I threw it on for a minute on my drive home from Chicago. I was a little annoyed by the sound of the drum machine on it, but, you know, it's one of those things, maybe I'll put it on, be in the mood for it at some point, and it'll really click or do it for me. Let's see. Next, got this in the mail a couple of days ago. I've had this on LP since it came out. It's a fucking brilliant, brilliant album. Maybe one of the best black metal records to come out in the last 5 years or so, I would say. Bluthaus Nord's Memoria Vetusta, the Saturnian Poetry album. I'm really super confused and out of the loop about Bluthaus Nord's crazy discography, and I don't really try all that hard to keep up with all the different series and the Sect 777s and all that kind of craziness. All I know is that this, style-wise, is kind of hearkening to the Norwegian black metal sound with Bluthaus Nord's kind of spin on things. Artwork by Christian Wallen, which is fucking phenomenal. I love the album so much that I had it on LP that I thought, you know, I need to have a CD copy of this to spin in the car. Also picked this up in Chicago at Reckless Records, Deeds of Flesh, Trading Pieces. I got a little, I don't know, the other day when I was talking about Deeds of Flesh in my update, I realized that I do kind of like Deeds of Flesh. So I picked up their first album. I think I remember hearing it years ago and liking it. So this was a couple of bucks. Trading Pieces is their debut. Originally released on... Is this... Actually, Repulse originally did it. Cats being a bastard, as usual. Anyways, this is the Unique Leader reissue of the debut. I did put it on the drive home the other day, and I don't know, maybe I'm not in the mood for that kind of gory-ass kind of stuff lately. But this is something I put on the other day, and it fucking just blew me away. It's been a long time since I listened to my favorite Voivod record. This is Dimension Hatros. Hope you know this record already, but this is a really nice reissue that BMG Noise did this year. Triple disc set. So what you get here is Dimension Hatros, the original album, and then you get a second disc of live shows from '88. Actually, it's one live show from '88, and then the third is a DVD that has 4 different live shows on it, as well as live studio photos, live in studio photos, artwork, and then I guess there's also audio on the DVD, which contains the Dimension Hatros demo from 1987. Haven't listened to that yet. I couldn't really figure out what you're supposed to do to listen to the audio on the DVD. I put it in my CD player and it wouldn't work, so I guess Maybe you just put it in your DVD player and click on it and it plays audio or something. I don't know. Anyways, I love this fucking record to death. It's so awesome. I might have to do a review of it or something. But Dimension Hatros is my favorite Voivod record by far, and listening to it the other day was just such a trip. I listen to Voivod every once in a while, and I feel like it's not the right album for me. And for some reason, I just never picked up Dimension Hatros. I want to say I might have had it on cassette back in early 2000s or something like that. Anyways, boring.